working out on the bench in the lab. Yeah. This would be just for people on Patreon. I've got like 2,500 or something. People who are on Patreon, like a third of them are actually paying patrons, putting in at least $1. Last year, you might remember, if you were on Patreon, there was a judgment that was handed down because Apple was charging 30%. If you were paying for anything on Patreon, if you were supporting any creator on Patreon through your iOS mobile app, if you're using the Apple mobile app to transfer any funds to Patreon, Apple was going to take 30% right off the top. So if you were supporting a patron through the Apple mobile app, 30% got skimmed right off the top by Apple. And so only 70% will go to Patreon, and then Patreon would take their 9%, and so the actual creator that you were trying to support was getting, 60% of what you were trying to support, and 40% was going to a combination of Apple and Patreon. So that was since 2024, but last year a judgment was handed down, and an announcement was made that a judge had claimed that it was illegal, that it was a monopolistic thing. And so for a while there, it was like, oh, the fee is over. And then that lasted like 4 months, 5 months, and then Apple found a workaround around it, or did an appeal. I'm not sure what. I couldn't find why. But Apple reinstated the fee. They got around it, and they put it back on. And so this happened November last year. And so it says here, all creators still using legacy billing, blah, blah, blah. Yes. So they enforced the subscription billing, which was one of the things that they were enforcing, which then got reversed last year. But now, again, by November 1st, 2026, this year, you must be back in subscription billing, which, but that's only part of it. This is the other part of it. But yeah, legacy membership, if you were on before they instituted the 30% fee, it won't be affected. But any new account, if you just changed on, or if you switched to Apple from Microsoft, or you just started using the mobile app, you will have to pay the 30% charge. Yes, can you opt out of the fee? For US fans, there's still a way to avoid Apple's fee. Signing up for the US app, you can choose web checkout instead of Apple's in-app purchase system. So this goes back to exactly what I was saying before, and it's in the bottom of all of my videos, that if you're on iOS, if you're using a phone, if you become a patron, do not use the mobile app for payments. You can go through your phone, you can choose the web-based payment system at checkout. Choose web checkout instead of Apple's in-app purchase system. You do that, and 30% more will go to the creator of your choice. Otherwise, you're just going to be paying Apple for the pleasure of doing business. So it's all back on. It was off, and now it's all back on. This is the thing, it's very frustrating. I mean, companies like Apple, they're so big that they can get around these antitrust suits. I mean, that's the thing. The antitrust legislation in the U.S., it used to be a force to be reckoned with. Old Ma Bell knew it well. There were, General Electric. There were many monopolies in the 20th century that were broken up because we had this regulation. But modern internet-based companies get around that because of the internet laws. It's they get the exceptions because of the 1990s regulations on internet companies that basically gave a pass to any business that was working on the internet. And so companies like Apple, Microsoft, they get around all this antitrust stuff. It's very frustrating. But so if you're on Patreon and you're using a phone, make sure that you are not using the mobile app for payments, because everything that you do and everything that you pay for, you're paying a 30% fee. Or actually the receiver is going to be paying the 30% fee if you're on a crowdsourcing platform like Patreon. So don't do it. I would encourage you to not use Apple anyway. go Android, but if you're on Apple, yeah, do not use the mobile app. And I thank you. I thank you, all my patrons. I thank you very much. I thank you for all your support. Boy, since Patreon allowed free memberships and now it's really changed the weird environment. If all my patrons put in just a couple bucks, I would never have to worry about funding. I would never have to do a fund drive. I'd never have to. It would just FriendLab would be taken care of. But no, I'm depending on the loyal core to keep me afloat for another year. Loyal core.
That's where I work. In the lab. Go berserk. In my lab. That's where I work. That's what you're watching. Friend Lab. That's what I'm doing. Working at the bench again.